Hi, and welcome to week 2 of Nature Journaling with Kayla and Artists in Nature. Today's activity is called I Notice, I Wonder, It Reminds Me of. What you're going to want to do is grab your journal and a pencil and then head outside and find an object in nature that you can observe for this activity. To recap this week, so far, Nate talked about microhabitats in nature in your neighborhood, and Anthony talked about observation skills and question asking in episode 2 of Tracking the Sasquatch. So for this activity, we're going to try to combine as much of that information together as possible. So for this activity, I chose this tree right behind me to observe. I chose this particular tree because I found a mourning dove sitting in her nest, which reminded me of Nate's activities. But I'm going to turn the camera around and see her. There's the mourning dove in her nest. She's beautiful. All right, I'm going to count. So this is my tree, but I'm going to first set up the journal page for you. So what you're going to want to do is first record the metadata. Now, metadata is a set of data that describes other data. And this definition might seem very complex, but for us, it's going to be the date of today, the location of your object and where you are. Then it's going to be the time of day, the weather or temperature information, and the object that you're recording. So for me, today's date, location then, my backyard, the time of day is about noon, and then the weather is about 45 degrees. It's a very cold April day, and then the sky is partly cloudy, as you can see. Then my object, of course, the tree and the nest inside. Then what you can also do is sketch your object in the corner next to your metadata as another information piece that you can put down. And then we're going to begin. So, like I said, the activity is called I Notice, I Wonder, It Reminds Me of. So we're going to start making I Notice statements, our observations. So for me, for this tree, I notice that the tree is shorter compared to other trees in my backyard. This is the size of this tree, but the tree right next to it is even taller. So that's something I notice. I also noticed that the branches are very dense, or to me they look dense. They fill out the tree to make it look really fluffy, I think. I also noticed that the mourning dove nest is closer to the inside of the tree. So rather than her nest being closer to the outside where these branches are, her nest seems closer to the middle of the tree. I also noticed that the shape of the tree is triangular. So as you can see, it has a triangular shape, and I tried to draw a triangle with my arm and it didn't work very well. But as you can see, some of these other trees in my backyard don't look like a triangle. So that's also something I noticed about this tree. And I also noticed that the color seems bluish green. So those are my 5 I notice statements. Now I'm going to move on to I wonder. Now these statements can be kind of like questions, some things that we are curious about our object. And we don't have to have the answers to the questions. You just put them down. So I wonder if the tree protects the nest from rain and wind. I also wonder how old the tree is, if it's fairly young, if it's really old. I wonder the age of the tree. I also wonder why the tree's shape is triangular. I don't know, could be important. I also wonder when the mourning dove built her nest in the tree. Was it a couple days ago? Was it a week ago? I don't know. So those are some of my I wonder statements. You can come up with another 5 of those. Lastly, we're going to move into the it reminds me of statements. Now these are observations that you can make that connect to things that you've learned or seen before, or maybe experiences you've had in your past. So for me, this tree reminds me of a Christmas tree. Kind of has that appearance. And then this tree also reminds me of when I was younger and saw huge pine tree forests on family vacations to Michigan. Lastly, this tree reminds me of when I learned about animal habitats in science class when I was younger, because I remember that animals need shelter, and that's one requirement of a habitat. So those are all of my I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of statements. Record all of yours in your journal and keep track of them. And then I'm going to challenge you to see if you can find some answers to your questions as a post activity that you can do with your journal. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I can't wait to teach you more next week.